Ekta public engagement day repatriation of Naga ancestral human remains opore loise Nagaland University Lumami day Saturday 10 kundu recover, restore and decolonize RRaD bra lead kurishe forum for Naga reconciliation laga AG Sunday November 12 day. RRaD do scholars, civil societies aro alak activities logot actively engaged ase Naga human remains kundu Pitt Rivers Museum Oxford University UK de rakhi ase edukan wapas anibole laga effort ase. Speaker Dr. Dolly Kikon, Associate Professor, Anthropology and Development Studies, University of Melbourne, Prakushe, Pitt River Museum do world largest Naga artifacts collections rakyase 213 human remains milagina. Dr. Kikon Kweshe recover laga meaning do past stories reclaim kurase, restoring do global narrative te Nagas laga dignity reinstate kura lagase. Dayaro Gushigi decolonize to reconciliation logot connected ase, healing aro shared future kundu 21st century de globally relevant ase. Daibra scholars can get urge kurishe decolonization do taiken laga works te engage kuroble laga. Alag speaker Dr. Ellen Jamir, Associate Professor, Christian Counseling and Psychotherapy Oriental Theological Seminary Nagaland Brakushiki, repatriation journey do Naga anthropologist Dr. Dolly Kikon bra The Guardian de ekta article dikha bishide shuru hoise. Tai kushi repatriation of human remains to nutun aro sensitive subject ase Nagas karne. Holibi Naga repatriation the first of its kind ase aro history in making ase kushi dunia de. Repatriation to failure na holibi success laga na hoy, holibi awareness raise kura laga ase kushi.
You will have the Mitun skulls, which are the Mitun horns which are attached to the human remains skulls. Like the Konyak Naga people, so did the Ao Naga people and other Naga communities practice putting Mitun horns on our ancestral skulls. What did that mean? An elderly Naga person from the Konyak homeland told us that the skulls of beloved family members, loved ones were actually taken down. As you know that before Christianity, we didn't bury it. We put our remains on top of trees, wrapped up in mats, bamboo mats. So we would, given that the head was considered sacred, we would take the head, our ancestors would take the head, clean it up, sometimes in boiling water to make sure that it was clean, would decorate it with tattoos, with colored paints that also included decorating it with the Mitun horns. We also learned from a Konyak elder that the heads of enemies are treated differently. A head of an enemy is never decorated with that kind of affection. I realized in this journey that to recover means recovering our past and the stories which have been miscommunicated to us. Here, restoring means restoring the dignity and our rightful place in the world as thinkers, as peoples, as scholars, as researchers. The issue of decolonization, because the third term is decolonize, let me stay a little bit longer here. Since the conversation started on decolonization, since 2022, there has been a buzz among the Naga scholarly communities. And some of the harshest critics have come, not from our engagement with the grassroots, from the village elders, from the councils, from civil services. Some of the harshest critics have come from the Naga scholarly world. Some have said, we don't need this term decolonization in the Naga context. Why are we borrowing foreign terms first? We don't need to decolonize in any way. Decolonization is a dangerous thing. We are good as it is. We respect all the views that are coming. But what is decolonization and why do we, as Naga scholars, why do we need to engage with that? In the 21st century, let me tell you, my dear students and fellow colleagues, as a member of the International Academy who teaches at the University of Melbourne, Australia's top university, decolonization has become an integral part of indigenous curriculums all over the world. We as Naga people, to took on the issue of justice in an English term, human rights an English term. Development, we're addicted to the term development. I feel sometimes that development has become another word. Decolonization is one such word in the 21st century that is creating a transformation across the scholarly world, across universities, across indigenous centers. Whether we like it or we don't like it, we have to engage with it. And what does decolonization mean in that word, in that way? What does it mean for us here at Nagaland University, here at Lumami? As a scholar, I've always been driven by looking at the local context to theorize. So when the student told me that my first book was exactly what Foucault said, I respected that as well. But I thought that for us as Naga scholars, we need to have a sense of urgency in theorizing our world from here. And that means examining the colonial frameworks. To decolonize means to revisit terms of savagery, terms of exotic peoplehood, terms of primitivity. First, it also means we have to examine why is it that our oral history, indigenous histories, are erased as non-academic? Why is it that scholars across India, from the mainland, are unable to deal with Adivasi histories, to deal with Naga histories? Is it our feeling or is it their feeling in a way to match up to a worldview that they're just unable to understand and yet gets into the point of academically and intellectually shaming us? I say that as a scholar, I say that as a professor. By the time I meet many tribal students in India at a master's level, they're deeply damaged. They're humiliated, their voices are gone, and it's almost impossible actually to make them talk. And it starts with us teachers constantly shaming them, constantly trying to fit their voices into a pedagogy, often which is devoid of meaning.
Joining the global conversation. The journey of repatriation of Naga ancestral human remains began when our friend here, Dr. Dolly Gikon, a noted anthropologist, came across an article about this in The Guardian. And she contacted the director of PRM, and in the process they were able to come together and decide to approach the Forum for Naga Reconciliation, FNR. And so they reached out to us to initiate this process of repatriation. We, the FNR members, we work in the areas of reconciliation and community healing. After thoughtful consideration and deliberation, the RRaD, Recover, Restore and Decolonize team was formed. So since 2021, we have focused on team building, and we are at the initial stage, engaging with communities. When we say communities, we would understand it as different tribes of Nagas. With different communities to create awareness and consciousness of the museum collection and issues around it. Our main work is to study and network with indigenous elders, conduct participatory action research, generate public awareness, and develop a strong, viable case to make an official claim to the University of Oxford for returning the Naga human remains. Repatriation of human remains is certainly a new and sensitive subject for many Nagas. We have very limited exposure and information about the remains. RRaD's values include being open to inquiries and creating safe spaces for a people-oriented approach that is inclusive, collaborative, transparent, and accountable. It seeks to preserve and understand the history of the Naga people through a dignified return of human remains and open pathways for healing across generations that renew the human spirit. We have had two phases, and phase one consisted of a round of conversations, interviews with Naga scholars, elders, and tribal organizations, and even church and seminaries. we explored the Naga context and our current environment. The Naga public had very limited exposure, little knowledge about this, and we identified a sense of curiosity, mixed emotions about the remains being housed or boxed up in museums around the world. And we also came across confusions about these remains, as well as misconceptions. Right in the middle of the king's Ang's house, there runs the international boundary, Myanmar and India, right? So we joke about sleeping in Myanmar, eating in India. And so that is a tourist spot of interest, but that is, it reveals a deep reality that we younger generation really need to think about. Either we lament and be creative in the space, working with good traditions and weave new clothes that clothe us and warm us. Isn't that beautiful? Return involves disruption, and it is not possible to return to the same. Returning requires a commitment to reality and involves repairing work. There is also the tension of what we know and what we don't know. So, perhaps what is gone may be gone, as somebody stated. However, we cannot negate the fact or ignore that the past, the present, and the future realities are interrelated. Our historical challenges and complexities are not gone, but they still exist, beckoning us to listen and pay attention. Will the repatriation of our ancestral human remains back to our homeland be a path to healing?